At 4:59, when that clock hit 5, I'm jumping in the car, running home, and I'm pouring a cocktail. You know, turning on ESPN, seeing what the game, what game is on, pouring another cocktail. And you know what? It's another game that comes on after this. So why not have another cocktail and another one? Mm-hmm. And this was like a daily thing, man. Like I was coming home, like drinking, like every day. Until one day my wife was like, boy, what are you doing?
Yeah, but the honeymoon is over.
I'm good, babe. No, I'm just having a couple watching the game. But I wasn't good. And I'm glad that I had the awakening when I did. I'm glad that she was so strong and so supportive to stand by me and whatever I needed at that time. She gave it to me. So yeah, I mean that's what really started the journey, the awakening, the real like kick in the butt to know that your selfish life is over. Mm-hmm. Right. You need to be a better version of yourself to be able to give her the foundation, give my daughter the foundation that they deserve.
Welcome to the Awesome Black Dad Show, where our goal is to give life to stories of fathers in a way that empowers and encourages dads to be a better version of themselves. Today's guest is Mr. Scott Riley, founder of the Be the Flow movement, a movement whose entire mission is to empower the people in our communities through self-love. After dealing with his own battles with mental health, Scott decided to create a positive movement that will encourage others to meet their own battles head-on and overcome them, because he believes strongly that nothing should get in the way of your purpose. Welcome, Scott.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. We're glad to have you here. Before we get started, I've always had this question that I've wanted to ask, but it always slips my mind. The nickname Freeze, where did it come from, man?
Oh man, honestly, a former teammate of mine, Big Will Johnson from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Okay.
He used to always give me crap, man, because I was a young kid. I mean, I was literally a 17-year-old kid. My freshman year, being a freshman in college. I'm 17 years old, but he used to always say like, "Dude, you a cool little dude, man." And I'm like, "Man, stop calling me a cool little dude." And as athletes, you always have nicknames, stuff
right.
That, goes on in the locker room, and then. I mean, he was throwing stuff around like, ice box and, you just cool breeze. And one day he was like, "Man, Big Freeze, what's up?" And it stuck.
And it stuck.
It stuck. Everybody started calling me Freeze, the coaching staff, the rest of my teammates,
right.
Then my boys in the neighborhood and, family. And now, yeah.
Right. So that came later. That came a lot later. Like it didn't come through your childhood.
Nah. That was definitely a college thing, man.
Right.
That happened in the locker room. Yeah, Big Will Johnson.
Yeah.
He threw it out there, it stuck, and I rolled with it.
Right. No, it fits because you are pretty cool, man.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it stuck, man. And Will was a good dude. He was a mentor. He was a guy in the locker room. That showed me how to do it.
Right.
We neither one of us went on to play pro ball, but he showed me the way to conduct yourself, not only in campus, but in the locker room and on the court. So shout out to Big Will from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah, shout out, Big Will. What's going on, man? So I typically start the show with, try to get an introduction of who people are. So tell me who is Scott Riley?
Oh, wow. Scott Riley is a son, a sibling, a husband, a father, just a guy that's, I feel like I have a story to share, and I think I'm just, every day I'm evolving. I'm learning something different about myself every day, man. But, when people ask me, who am I, one, I'm a God-fearing man, without him, none of this would be possible, just, having, the privilege to be someone's husband or to be someone's father. So, yeah, man, it's just, I'm just, like I said, I'm a chameleon, man. There's so many layers to me, the different
right.
things that I, that I'm learning about myself every day.
Right. So we hope to peel back the layers of that onion a little bit today.
No doubt,
what I'm saying? So it's interesting, typically especially when I ask guys, right, they always kind of when I ask like who they are, they kind of start with these. I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a father, and all these things. And I think you nailed it. You did use the right adjective when you said that it's a privilege, right? Yeah. It is a privilege to be a husband and a father, and it comes along with all these responsibilities. So I always wonder, like, do you prioritize those things? Does one come before the other, right?
Well, it's work. I mean, it's work. I mean, you go your whole life when it's just you, like you kind of just doing your own thing, navigating a certain way. That life I was living when I had no children. I wasn't in like any like committed relationships. I'm just kind of doing my thing, So you kind of find a way to be selfish because it's just you,
right?
But once that life changes, man, and you put that ring on your finger and you hold that child in your arm, your priorities do change. And along the way, we always put God first, because again, that faith alone, helps you navigate through them storms, man. And so, as far as priorities, he's always, the center and the first, person I look to, for advice and guidance. But, my wife and my mother are very instrumental parts of my life, so I don't want to put them in, any positions of who's first and second. I love them both, man. My ladies.
Yeah, I know. That's where the challenge comes in.
My daughter's like, she's the one. She's the one, man. She's my everything. I mean, she's the reason why I knew change needed to happen. And, she's the reason why, I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Hands down. She's my motivation. She's my everything.
Okay. So when you say, so where does your faith come from? Because you're speaking about being a God-fearing man, and you say it with such conviction. It seems like it just didn't start yesterday, right? So where did that come from?
Well, my mom and dad, church wasn't an option. I mean, we had to go. It was like, you wake up Sunday morning, mom scrambles some eggs, cook some bacon, you throw on your shirt, tie, your slacks, you go to church, and you come home and watch Chicago Bears football. I mean, that was our routine as a family, man. But, it was a little odd, growing up because my grandmother was Baptist, but my mom and dad chose to raise us Catholic. So, it's, one of her favorite aunts was Catholic, and the whole idea of like Catholicism and, learning about, the Catholic faith and, she thought this is what was best for her family. So we went to Catholic school. We went to, catechism classes and baptism classes, and I was an altar server. My older brother was an altar server. My sister, was very involved in the church. And I mean, she's actually taken it to a whole nother level. I mean, she has a master's in divinity right now. Wow. I mean, her faith is everything, So, church again wasn't an option. We went as a family. And again, that faith alone and those memories as a family going to church was everything. Man.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of like a typical story for most people that grew up in our communities, right? It was like the women in our families, the matriarchs always made sure that the kids had some level of foundation when it came to the church. Now, as we get older, you kind of it's like, when you grew up and you really loved, as a child, you loved Cheerios, but then when you became adult, you're like, I am not eating any more Cheerios. Give me any other cereal. I'm not eating Cheerios. So to some degree, you get, it gets kind of oversaturated. And then where we are, and I'm not trying to get into a whole religious kind of spiritual debate, but just saying that, I just wanted to get a question as to how you feel. Is it more, do you still go to church in that way, or are you more connected, spiritually? Is it more religious today or more spiritual?
Well, it's definitely more spiritually now, and I can speak on that because, life challenges come at you in different ways, sure. And again, like I said, I believe in God. My faith is there, but I'm a huge component. I really believe on energy. Like the energy that you give off is the energy you receive, right. And the universe is powerful, man. I mean, and along my journey, what really helped me, get to this place of peace, I had to be able to understand what my energy was all about, and how I was going to be able to start using my energy out and give it out here back to the universe and to people to feel me, and feel what I'm trying to do in all the positive ways necessary that I wanted to give it off. And, my days and my nights, start and end with meditation. I mean, that's something that I feel like is necessary not only for myself but others who looking for that place of peace.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to that meditation because it's interesting. I haven't really started, but I'm actually researching and doing some things. So I got some questions for you. We'll come back to that before we're done. So you talked a bit about your mom and how influential she was, and grandmother as well. Tell me a little bit about what your relationship was with your father. And
my dad, Will Arthur Riley Sr.
Yeah.
My dad was awesome, man. I mean, I was very fortunate because I was one of the few kids in my community, in my neighborhood, that had a father in the home. So many of my friends and homeboys, like they had their moms, they had their grandmothers, in their homes, and they didn't know their dads. Yeah. And even the ones that knew them, there wasn't a relationship. My dad was in the home. I mean, checking homework, making sure I went to bed on time, taking me to school, picking me up. I mean, having his presence was everything to me because I just thought that was the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
I didn't know anything different as a kid. So, you see and another thing we did as a family was watch the Cosby Show.
Right.
So I just thought it was normal. Everybody have a mom and a dad in the house. And then when my friends started telling me, like, yeah, no, it's just me and my mom or me and my grandma, I was like, oh, wait, I'm a little lucky over here.
Right.
I have a man in the house that's showing me who's raising a young boy to be a man, know, and that man, I mean, that was something that, I never took for granted having him in that house.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it goes to show you how important, what you're bringing up, the Cosby Show, and how important it is for us to perpetuate these positive images, right? Yeah. To be in a place where people are able to see you with your daughter and even her mom, I mean, even if you aren't together and not married, where you're working together for the good of the kid, like those images that you see, when we begin to see those things and they become normal, right? It becomes the expectation, right? It's part of the reason why I just cannot watch the news today because of all the negative stuff that I know in the world is going on, you know what I mean? But the more and more I watch it, it becomes normal. So the death of the kids that the death of the people in our communities that happen, and just around the world in general, some of the things that happen, the more and more that stuff it becomes normal. It's like, oh, well, yeah. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at some point, the things that we can control, right? That's why I appreciate some of the things that, because I follow you on social media and the movement as well, and how you connect what it is that you're doing, your purpose, with your family, right? And not your immediate family and your extended family as well, because those images are very important to the people in our community. Just to go back to your friends and not really knowing, like, if you and your friends at the time never had a conversation about your dad being in the house, they wouldn't know that there was another side. They'd expect when they grew up and had kids, they'd be like, all right, it's time for me to lead the nest. She's going to take care of the kids, and I'll figure out what happens now.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
About it.
So that's a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And again, I appreciate what it is that you're putting out, because it's very important, and keep doing that for sure.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate you, man. This is an awesome platform, for men, black men to be able to, to share their story. So salute to you. No doubt about it.
No, I appreciate that, man. So to piggyback off of that, to share, let's get into sharing a little bit about your story. Can you tell me what your first experience was with mental health?
Yeah, honestly, I think, along the way, especially being, a student athlete, everyone always tells you how great you are, and, oh, Scott, you have so much potential, and, the coach is patting you on your back, your family's smiling, the ladies loving you, life is good. So in high school, I felt that, I had a lot of good energy around me because, everybody was telling me how, how much potential I have, the sky's the limit, Scott, and, going on to, get a college scholarship to play ball was everything. My parents, were hardworking, people, went to work every day. But to have $20,000 to drop for 2 semesters for a school year, I mean, they just couldn't write a check for that. So to be able to have that opportunity, man, that privilege, being a student athlete and go to school for free, you know, and just to be able to play ball was everything. It was a dream come true. It was something that my mom and dad was extremely proud of, and I took pride in that. But when it was over, when that life was done, like, you know, no one was patting you on your back anymore, telling you how great you were, because now your basketball career is over.
Right.
You know, like, and it really didn't hit me, I think, until it really hit me. And when it did, I realized, like, I'm just Scott now, you know. But that's when I think the struggle started, because instead of me trying to find, you know, purpose at that time, I found myself self-medicating through drinking, you know, smoking marijuana, you know, making choices that, you know, we're actually making excuses. Let's backtrack. I was making excuses, you know, of why I needed to do this. Why, you know, I'm going here to this party when I know I probably should be having my butt at the house somewhere, you know. So right then, you know, I think one of the things in mental health that people don't talk about is the self-doubt. You know, we talk about depression, anxiety, you know, but self-doubt is one of the biggest things I think people struggle with. You know, not believing in yourself, not knowing your purpose, not really understanding your worth, your value. Right. And I lost that along the way, you know, because no one was telling me how awesome I was, you know, and I needed, I almost felt like I needed to hear that, you know. I needed someone to kind of say, hey, Scott, you still got it in you. So that's when it started. I mean, that's when it started. But then I was very fortunate to become assistant basketball coach on a collegiate level. So I was still around the game. I still had love for the game, but it still wasn't the same. Yeah. So that's when I think.
So I mean, it's interesting. How old were you when you kind of hit this, you know, hit this part in your life where you? Oh man,
I was early 20s, man. I mean, because I was done. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life. I still think I can play. Right. But then it just ended. You know, after that last game in the NCAA tournament when we lost, you know, those tears rolling down your eyes in the locker room, and you looking around at the sophomores and juniors, and they thinking like, "Hey, we'll be back next year."
Right.
You like,
not me,
man, not me. It's over. You know, but yeah, a lot of that's when it hit. I was probably 21, 22 years old. Okay, and just really searching, man, like searching for a new identity, but not knowing how to.
Right. We have a ton of conversations about validation and needing validation, right? And as men, I think that we have these conversations in our communities and just in society in general as it pertains to masculinity and the things that we feel like we need to hold on to and the things that we need to let go. And some of what I'm hearing is it sounds like you're talking about you lost that level of validation. Like, that's an awesome job what you're doing, Scott. Keep that up. And then after you get to a point to where, all right, you finish college and it's time to, you know what I mean? I think it's kind of, it's similar to what happens in our community when it comes to prom, right? Yeah. We celebrate prom in a way where it's like that is the end, right? We go forward. We put out so much money. We give the kids cars. We throw this huge party.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable for that. And then when you look at the kid at that time, like when I think back to, I didn't have that big extravaganza, but when I think back to where my mind was at the time, it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I don't need to do anything else. There's nothing bigger than this.
What's bigger than this?
But then when you hit, like what you say, like after college, like you can't stop.
Yeah.
You got to keep moving. The reality is hit. There's bills to pay. Yes. Can't go back to mom and dad's house.
No. That was not an option.
Yeah. Right. So in that, when you started to notice that there was something wrong, you started to doubt yourself about your purpose in the world, did you ever go back and talk to mom and dad about how you were feeling? Like these feelings that you had, or did you just try to ignore those feelings?
Well, right, you hit it on the head. I tried to ignore those feelings because, you know, they came in waves, you know, because, the art of distraction is an amazing thing, you know, so you can find ways to, step outside of those feelings and distract yourself with other things. And again, I was really good at partying. So I found a party every day. Somebody wanted to party. So that's what we were going to do. And that was a distraction for me.
Okay.
So it never really affected my ability to get up every day to go to work because I knew I had to pay bills.
Right.
But then once work was over, where's the party at?
Yeah.
So those, me, that was me just taking a shovel, man, digging a bigger hole, day by day, digging that hole just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until I jumped in that hole like, yo, I need help. Like this hole.
So when did that happen? When did
that? 2016. Okay. So
recent.
That was really a journey that I've been struggling with, my whole life, man. Being able to find that purpose again.
So that journey, just so we're clear, like that journey is more than from when you started to dig this ditch, right? And you started to medicate in terms of alcohol and marijuana or whatever, right? That period, that journey was what, maybe 10 years?
Man, we talking a good 10 or 15, good 10 or 15 years of making excuses, digging that hole bigger and bigger. But I was still able to tread water, like,
right.
if you could say, keeping my head where people would look at me like, well, he looks happy.
Right. You're fully functioning
right.
addict, using the word addict loosely.
Yeah. But I was, and that's the truth because, no one truly knows your story unless you allow them in.
Right.
And who was I going to tell that, hey, man, I'm depressed, yo? Like, so who do you say that to?
Right. So why do you think it is that, and I'm sure I'm not trying to dismiss the women that deal with some of the same kind of struggles, but why do you think that it's so hard for men to have those conversations?
It's because the idea of a man, like my dad, my dad, he was like, well, you're a boy. Boys don't cry. You fall, you dust yourself off, you get back up because you're a man.
Right.
So for the longest time, as far as like being able to articulate my emotions was really like,
nah, I'm not doing that.
I'm supposed to do that because men don't cry. Like men don't supposed to feel this way. Yeah. But not to bounce too much around, but like my dad suffered from mental health. He had some mental health, and my dad had some mental health struggles. But my mom, man, bless her heart, she hid it from us as long as she could. I didn't know. I mean, like I said, my dad was checking homework, taking me to school. Yeah. Coming to my games, taking me to the parks to work on my game. But I didn't know he was going to therapy. I didn't know he was taking medication. Like, these are things I didn't know.
Right.
And for the longest time, she didn't want us to know.
Yeah.
Because she wanted us to focus on school, focus on sports, and just stay, just be a kid, Why burden us with, his story at that time, because she was doing everything to keep that from us. So, I mean, it got to the point, like, I believe my junior, senior year in high school, well, I knew something was off. Like, wait a minute,
right.
Dad ain't, he hasn't come to a game in a couple of weeks.
So were you able to have that conversation at that time when you were like thinking that something's off with Dad?
Well, not directly with him.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. It was more so with Mom. My mom, she know we smart kids. I mean, we're gonna figure it out eventually. But with me being the youngest, they tried to pacify me a little bit, because, I was kind of just caught up in my own thing, like school basketball, girls. That was the only thing I was focused on. But when I started to notice it, she did sit me down with my siblings, and she had that conversation with us. And my dad was brought into the conversation. He shared his struggles with us. Like, hey, it's times when he just, felt isolated, like he just wanted to be alone. Yeah. And you know what? As I learned about it, I started reading more about it, and then talking to her, asking questions to her, with her and with him. I mean, I understood. I understood. Like, wow, this is real. And I never thought, it will affect me. Because you think genetics. You think like, well, I'm fine right now. Like, I'm happy. Right. So I never thought it would affect me until it did, and then I needed to navigate a different way to get myself back to a place.
Right. I think it's really, really important to address some of the things that are being ignored, because even if it doesn't touch you, there's an opportunity for it to touch your kid, right? And we carry so much more in our DNA than just our looks and diabetes, right?
Right. No doubt.
There are more things. At least that's what I'm learning. And then the way that society kind of raises us in terms of men, it's like the way we handle emotions is to forget it, ignore it.
Exactly.
Right? And to ignore your emotions is to ignore the information you need to make a better decision.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm reading a book called Emotional Intelligence, and it's talking all about how you can put your emotions in a place where it's more useful, right? And how you can, because there are times when I have emotions and when I get ready to say something about it, the way it makes me feel before I open my mouth, I'm like, right here in the stuff. I don't like that feeling, so I'm going to just let it fester.
Yeah, I've been there.
You know what I mean? Been there. And then it just kind of festers. And then my boys get to be my age, and I can't have the conversation necessary for them to have the growth that they need to be the best version of themselves. So I think it's really, really important. I think it's good that your parents set you down when it was time, right, to have that conversation. So, and it's good to have when there is mental struggles and a history of that in the family, to really start talking about those things. So with all of going through this journey, right, to where you are today, and learning the things that you learn, what do you think defines who you are today?
I think now being self-aware has been everything to my growth and to who I am right now, because for so long I was wearing this mask, man. Like, I'm the cool guy that don't have any care in the world, just floating through life, having a good old time. But I was dying inside, man. I mean, it was a struggle to really, really understand and accept where I was at mentally moving forward, because life throws you all type of challenges, man, and I just think until you really find that place of being self-aware to who you are, you really can't find that happiness, because I had to tell myself, Scott, it's okay to feel this way, but what are we gonna do to help you, get to that place of peace, or that place of comfort where you can talk about it and move on from whatever you need to move on from. Mm-hmm. But like I said, for so many years, it was okay, I'm feeling this way, looking around, oh man, who can I tell? Well, really can't tell her because she might think I'm weak. Really can't tell my boys. They might be like, dude, why you cool? Keep moving. Right. And then, people you really don't know who looks up to you until wow, why they looking up to me? And so you really can't make yourself vulnerable for people who you think who looking up to you as well. So it was just kind of this struggle of trying to hide it, but still function through life like everything is great. Right. Until my wife is my best friend, man. She's so dope. She's seen the transformation. She sees the work that I put in daily to be a better version of Scott, to be a better husband, to be a better father. And again, I mean, it was literally a day I woke up and I looked myself in the mirror and I just broke down crying, man. I mean, I was literally in tears. And I'm asking myself, why aren't you happy? You're a new husband, you're a new father, what's up, man? Life sucks, it feels like, and it shouldn't, because I got all these good things happening to me, but I knew something had to change. So I looked myself in the mirror, man, and I went, and my wife looking at me, and she's like, what's up? You okay? And I'm like, I need help. I said, I need help. I said, this lifestyle that I'm living is destructive. And
this is while you're married. You pretty much, it sounds like you hit your tipping point after you married, like
Man,
after you had your daughter as well?
Yes, I'm trying. Like my daughter was 6 months. We got married in St. Croix, Virgin Islands, beautiful island. Shout out to the cruising people down there in St. Croix, amazing people. My best friend owns a home in St. Croix, so he opened his home up to my family and friends. We had close to over 50 people that flew into the island. Amazing wedding. It was great. It was my wife wanted a destination wedding. We gave her, we had it. It was beautiful. Our daughter was 6 months at the time. So we get back and life is going now. Okay, you're married, your daughter, you're raising her, changing diapers, start talking about child care and Lord, child care. I'm in the wrong business. I'm like,
robbing you without a ski mask.
Oh my goodness, man. So all these things are happening, and of course, what I did was go back to what I knew I was really good at, and that was self-medicating. Like let's go ahead and go to work, and then but at 4:59 when that clock hit 5, I'm jumping in the car, running home, and I'm pouring a cocktail. Turning on ESPN, seeing what the game, what game is on, pouring another cocktail, and you know what? It's another game that comes on after this, so why not have another cocktail and another one? And this was like a daily thing, man. Like I was coming home, like drinking, like every day. Until one day my wife was like boy, what are you doing?
Yeah, but the honeymoon is over.
I'm good, babe. No, I'm just having a couple watching the game. But I wasn't good. And I'm glad that I had the awakening when I did. I'm glad that she was so strong and so supportive to stand by me and whatever I needed at that time. She gave it to me. So yeah, I mean that's what really started the journey, the awakening, the real like kick in the butt to know that your selfish life is over. Right. You need to be a better version of yourself to be able to give her the foundation, give my daughter the foundation that they deserve.
Yeah. So when you speak of this awakening, right? And I was calling it the tipping point, but we'll stick with the awakening. That's a better word. But what did you do after when your wife comes to you and says, "Hey, babe, this is not what's up. I need you to kind of look inside," and then you look at your daughter, and you look in her eyes, and I imagine that when you look in your daughter's eyes, it's like you lose yourself, right?
No doubt.
So what did you do immediately to kind of begin to make that change, become a better person? Did you seek counseling?
Yeah.
Did you throw the bottles away?
Yeah,
like, what did you do?
Well, we did. We emptied the cabinets. Everything got taken out of the house. I actually took some time away from work, and this is when I got introduced to meditation, got introduced to yoga, understood how important it was to start working out again. So I literally went to Palm Springs, California, shout out to Michael's House. It's a facility out there in Palm Springs that allowed me to come out there and share my story. And they gave me the tools that I needed to find myself again. It really did. I think now, that day I went, the hardest thing I had to do is admit I had a problem and I needed help, and not knowing what to do, because you always think you can do it by yourself. But those people out there were amazing, man. I'm a black kid from the west side of Chicago. I never thought about meditating a day in my life, right. Let alone do yoga. I'm 6'5", 280, man. Right. It's hard enough touching my toes. I'm like, man, but those tools really, 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 helped me find that peace, man. Because, man, I'm telling you, that first week, in those meditation sessions, I'm looking around, peeking my eye open, like, man, these clouds, what are we doing, man? Right. This don't work. Yeah. But then one of the instructors pulled me to the side. I was like, hey, I see you really struggling. You're really struggling. Yeah. And the thing he said to me was, you need to block out all the noise. And I mean, and we gonna get back to that because that's the apparel that I sell now.
Okay.
With the headphones.
Okay.
You know, is being able to block out that noise.
Okay.
And really just count your breaths, like listen to yourself breathe.
Okay.
You know, like it's a thing.
No, absolutely it is, and
yeah.
I know people have heard me talk about this a couple of times in a couple of episodes, but I keep bringing it up, and I'm on and off with it. I haven't been diagnosed with anything in terms of mental health, but everybody has these moments when they're down and then you're up and you don't feel as happy as you think that you should be, and you want to be in a better place, right? And whatever that means, and then you begin to have conversations about the history of mental health in your family, and then you begin to dig a little deep. But what I found was I had a conversation with a guy named Renshawn Miller, who's a clinician. Okay. I think it's like episode 3 or 4, and I had told him, he had mentioned that because he had dealt with or struggled with depression in a way where he tried to kill himself a number of times.
Oh, wow.
And so he talked about what he would do, like his morning routine, like he had to create a structure so he would be good. And so what he did was he started coloring, and I laughed because I couldn't really realize that I had maybe a couple of months before that conversation. I had told my wife, when we go to Denny's, there's the play mat with the crayons, and I would color like before the kids would. And I told her it's strange that when I started coloring, like I would lose myself. Like I wouldn't, like I would be there, but I wouldn't be there. Like I'd be focusing on just trying to color within the lines. And he was like, that's one of the reasons why kids are so happy, right? Because they can figure out, they can play. And as adults, we forget how to play. Our play is going to have a drink and doing something different. Yeah. Meditation is separating all those things out, right, and giving your body enough time to recharge. Like we can physically recharge, but mentally you need it. You got to figure out a different way.
It's so necessary,
right? So I went and bought adult coloring books and everything. Got crayons, like, and,
that's what's up.
It truly, like, it's a form of that. And so now,
it really is.
Thinking about. So, talk to me a little bit more about your meditation routine. Like, what do? You meditate twice a day, right?
Yeah.
So what is that like?
Well, I'm usually the first one up in our home. Okay. My wife.
What time is that specifically?
I'm up, like, it's a good 5:36. I'm usually up, and at that time, I just take 20 minutes to myself. Either I'm just sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes closed, or I have my favorite spot on the couch where I go find, and it's just really. I'm all about music. I think music is therapeutic as well. So, I find, some meditation music to put on, and just, my headphones are there, and I just, I find that time right there to block out the noise, man, and just kind of just, count those breaths and, like, kind of just recharge mentally, like you said, and, like, I ask myself questions every day, like, what are you bringing to the table today, Scott? What can you do to be a better version of yourself today, Scott? And it's also me, like, thinking through scenarios, like, if you have a rough day at work today, are you gonna come home and pour a drink, or are you gonna go to the gym? Like, that's an option. So those things, being mindful, man, being mindful of the choices I make now just don't affect Scott. It affects my wife, it affects my daughter, it affects the people that love me, that believe in me, and see me, make this transformation, and like I said, like, I'm not perfect. I mean, I went probably about 8 months without, touching a drink, because I really wanted, one, like, to have that clarity to see what everything really stemmed from, and I realized that, I was self-medicating all this time to, live a life that wasn't real. Like, this party lifestyle that I was, that I was living, like, that wasn't the life I wanted, but, like, again, I was good at it, and that's what I knew. So that's what I went back to when life got hard. You find excuses, and I buried myself, with those choices that now that I know, moderation is something that I'm working on. Like, my wife even said it the other day. We went out to dinner, and she was like, wow, she said, I'm proud of you, babe. I was like, why? She said, because usually, she said, not to bring up the past, but but whenever somebody starts a sentence off, well, not to bring up the past, but she was real. She was like, like I can remember when we were just dating, and like we'd go out to dinner, nice steak dinner, you have a couple of cocktails, and then, I want to, after we leave the restaurant, I want to stop at the store and get a bottle to bring home to keep the party going.
Right.
So now it was like we go out to dinner, may have a glass of wine or a cocktail or something, and then we go home. Yeah. And that's it. And it's not like I'm searching for more. I don't need more. There's no need to feel like I need to, drown myself in any type of feelings, because I'm okay to talk about my feelings now. Right. Man, look, it feels good to cry once a month, maybe once a week. Everybody should try it.
Right.
It feels good. Yeah. And sometimes it's happy tears, man, because, you think about your story. You think about if you really did give up, where would you be right now? Would I be homeless? Right. Would I, would I be here, if I would have gave up? Yeah. But like, I didn't want people to think like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, you went, you found peace in sobriety, but now you're drinking in moderation. How does that work? Well, it does work if you allow it. If you allow yourself to write your own story. I recreated myself, man, because I needed to. It was necessary. Right. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. Yeah. I want to take her to her first day of college. But I knew those changes had to happen. I couldn't keep living the life I was living and think those things were going to happen. I was fooling myself. Yeah. So and with the movement, I wrote principles like through this whole journey. Like I wrote principles that I read to myself every day. My first thing I wrote down on a piece of paper, and it just flowed out, man, was allow yourself to hit the reset button. That's exactly what I did when I went to California. Mm-hmm. I hit the reset button like, look, I'm wiping my slate clean. I'm about to recreate myself. How can I do this? Yeah. But then that second principle was belief comes from within. I had to believe I can do it. I had to believe that it was worth doing. And then thirdly, I said put value in your purpose. The athlete Scott is gone, man. I can't remember the last time I dunked the basketball, but that's okay. And that was a part of my life. That was fun. I was very blessed to travel the world, meet a ton of people that showed me love and great relationships I built with sports. But, I had to put value back on my purpose now as a man, as a husband, as a father. And then lastly was following through with your dreams and your goals. We can all talk a good game. I'm good at that. Right. I was really good at that, especially when I'm partying, you drinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and this. Yeah. But then you wake up the next day all hungover, you're not motivated to do anything. But see, now I speak it and I live it and I follow through with everything that I want to bring to the table, because I just, I'm comfortable sharing my story. I don't feel a certain way if, someone doesn't believe or doesn't want to support the movement, because these tools that I'm giving back right now help me. And if it may not help everybody, but if it helps somebody, I'm feeling that. Yeah.
No, it's really powerful, man. Two things I want to mention out of what you said that's very impactful. I think that the fact that you've written down your principles and then you address those things every day is very, very, very powerful, right? I think I'm in the process of working on my own policies and principles, right? For me as a man today, and things that I can pass down to my kids, right? At least give them something to evaluate when they are when they're in a space where they're starting to evaluate their own manhood, right? Yeah, no doubt. To have a baseline to understand that the man that raised you was thinking this way at the time he was doing it. Now, you might be in a completely different space than I am, and I hope that it's that you are, meaning my kids are in a better place than where I started, obviously. But it's very powerful. I think every man should have principles,
no doubt,
that they can speak to when they having conversations. You can bring up, not that you got to go back to your phone or you got to go to your written notes to know where you are in your life, because we have to do a proper assessment and evaluation of ourselves on a daily basis.
Every day is work.
Because we change every day. We are not the same person that we were the night before. And, not necessarily fundamentally, right? Some things change fundamentally, but if we're not careful, those fundamentals will change over time.
Yes.
You'll be like, how in the hell did I get here?
Yep.
Right? You'll never know it. But the other thing that I wanted to ask, when you said that your wife told you that she was proud of you, right? It made me think back to the point, the starting your journey, how the old Scott was like, he needed the validation.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when your wife gave you validation at that point? And you know
what? Honestly, I kind of looked at her sideways, like, I don't need I don't need you to pacify me right now. Like, I know I'm doing great, but you know what? After processing it, I think I looked back at her like a half an hour, maybe even an hour later. I was like, you know what, baby, thank you, because it did feel good to be seen, because she sees the work. She knows, like, I come home from work now. It's like, okay, babe, who's going to the gym first? You, me, who got the baby? We want to take the baby with, So it's not like you're coming home and still, pouring cocktails every day after work. Right. Like, she sees it. Like, I'm at the laptop, like, okay, what's next for the movement? What we need to do? What we need to get done? She see the focus is where it's at. And, yeah, I mean, it felt great, to hear her say that, she's proud of me, man, because – she is my best friend. She's my ultimate support system. That time I was away, in California, I made her a single mom for like 33 days. She was by, my mom and sister, came, checked in with her, gave her, some time. So that she can, still have for herself, to take, watch my daughter. But she was by herself. And that's strength, man. That,
that's what support looks like.
Like, seriously, she, was, man, bathing our daughter, dressing her, feeding her, like all these things that I was doing with her. All of a sudden, bang, she's by herself. And she was like, don't you ever. She was like, that's your one shot, boy, to get it right. Because she said that single mama life, I did not like it. So
I didn't sign
she was
up
like,
for
let's
this.
make sure we get this right, baby.
Right.
Because, she was like, not only did I miss you, she said, it really did make me understand how much, that we need you,
right.
And that was enough right there, man, to know, like, I did the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about the movement moving forward because, people, you never underestimate people, man. That's one thing I've learned because when the wheels start turning and, I start thinking about this movement and what I want to bring to the table, I wanted people to talk. Because I know how talking helped me through my struggles. Right. And I wanted people to understand that you aren't alone. Like, everyone has a story. I'm not the only one out here feeling some type of way.
No,
and,
you are not.
So I just felt like, maybe we can get T-shirts. You know what? Let's do T-shirts.
Before you get in, because I know where you're going, and we're absolutely about to turn the corner into the whole movement. And so let's actually get. I had one more question, but I'll come back to it. So tell me about the day you decided to start the Be the Flow movement.
It was probably after 4 months of being back in Chicago. I was just feeling my strength. Like I felt, I was
that
like,
energy.
Yeah,
you're back to that energy,
man. I'm like. I just felt different, I had a different bounce to me, man. Like, I'm like, man, like, this is what I was missing. This is the Scott I know. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be feeling. And I think it was a morning where I was like, it was a Saturday morning. I'm tossing and turning. I'm like, you know what? Skip it. I'm up. I can't go back to sleep. I'm going to the gym. I'm on the treadmill. And I'm going. I'm like, dude, I'm about to start a movement. I said, because I know I'm not the only one out here that has a story to share. I'm about to start a movement. Matter of fact, I've been hashtagging Be the Flow since like 2014. I looked at my old social media pages and going back. I'm like, man, I've been hashtagging that since like 2014. Because again, it is like a flow of energy. Just going, not being, not going with the flow, with being the flow. Jay-Z said it, it said it once, everybody knows, and equates it with that. But I just really believed in that phrase, that slogan, be the flow, man. Like, be that flow of positive energy that's going to uplift somebody. And once I was at the gym and them endorphins going, I'm sweating, I'm moving, like I literally I got off the treadmill, went to the weight bench, and I'm sitting there on the bench, and I just took out my phone, and I started writing the mission right there in the gym. As I finished with the mission, I started writing the principles. They just started coming out. And I'm like, okay, when I get home, I'm going to navigate through this and see how I can, really make this thing work. And I was like, well, how do I get people to know about it? I was like, well, maybe if I start wearing a shirt that says Be the Flow, that's a conversation starter. Because people will say, hey, what's Be the Flow? And that's how we'll do it. And that's kind of how this thing all started coming together, man. From writing the mission to writing the principles to understand, okay, we need a conversation starter. And to come up with the apparel that we have right now.
Okay. So what kind of impact how long have you been, how has Be the Flow, the movement been currently, not back 2014, when God gave it to you and you didn't know what it was then.
Exactly.
But, since you started, how long have you,
man,
it's been what, not a year, maybe a year?
9/11 will make 3 months.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is grassroots, man. We really just started this thing, but it's like I said, you can't underestimate people because once June 11th, I dropped a video. Okay. I went on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, dropped a video to Be the Flow movement. I basically, gave him a snippet of my story, and I spoke about the mission, how this is a movement to empower through self-love, because, we all do know someone, if not just yourself, who struggles with depression, anxiety, some type of trauma, addiction, or self-doubt. So that video, every 11th of the month, I'm going to drop that video. I did it again in July, August, we're going to continue, just to keep getting the word out that way. So we almost 3 months in, but again, the love we've had through the sales of the apparel was allowed us to give away over 150 backpacks yesterday, stuffed with school supplies. And that's what I wanted people to be very aware of. And it says that on the store, if you buy any apparel on the Be the Flow store or printingking.com, proceeds of that goes back to a community flow fund, because we're going to flow communities with things things that's necessary, like backpacks, like school supplies. Our next community initiative, I want to do laundromat vouchers for women's shelters and the homeless. Think about it. You walking around to shovel, and having, had clean clothes for months or weeks. Yeah. And then bang, I hit you with a $30 voucher to go in the laundromat that you can use over a week's time or a month's time. Right. That changes someone's mood, mentality.
It does.
Walking around with clean clothes. I work with children on a daily basis with my full-time job, and I see kids all the time getting bullied. They come to school smelling, a certain way, and coach, I'm sorry, my mom just didn't wash my clothes the last couple of weeks. I want to help with that. Right. So as we continue, to keep growing the brand and selling apparel, things like that can happen, man, because it's supposed to. We're supposed to do awesome stuff like this, man. And that's just where I'm at with this. It's been so much going on, but so much support. I'm overwhelmed with the love, from seeing people in Las Vegas wear my shirt, to California, New York. Man, a good friend of mine was just over in Paris, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower with a Be the Flow t-shirt on.
I saw it. Yeah,
and I'm like, man, this is dope.
Right.
And now people, they getting it, they customizing their shirts with their area code to Be the Flow and wherever they are and what city they're in. And that's what this is about, man. It's really about spreading the word, letting people know that you're not alone.
Now, do you allow them to customize the shirts through your site, or they just kind of pick up the...
Okay. You're able to go right there on betherflow.myshopify.com.
Sure.
A little quick plug.
Yeah. No, that's coming.
But you can go on there, pick whatever t-shirt, tank top, hoodie that you may like, and you can click on the link that allow you to customize, whatever area codes you like. We have some new apparel that's coming to the store after the weekend. So yeah, I mean, it's so funny how it's all connected because my cousin, he's my distributor. He owns a t-shirt company in Lansing, Michigan called the Printing King. He played close to 10 years of professional football in the NFL, and he recently had a story in Sports Illustrated about his struggles of depression after life of being this big time, a star to like, his next chapter of his life or how he had to do it. And now that him and I are working hand in hand, not only with his brand, but with mine, he's printing the shirts, we bouncing ideas off one another, and he's very open to sharing his story about his fight with depression. And it's just cool how everything's connected. And when he showed up to Chicago on Friday with his family, and Saturday before the backpack giveaway even began, he's there early. He's like, "Cuz, I got new gear for you." Like, and I'm like, look, I'm like, man, like, and like people are there buying the gear,
right?
And I'm like, man, they got stuff I already had yet, right. But it's just cool how it's all this energy, man, that's just coming together, how it's working, how people showed up to volunteer for this event. I had like over 20 people show up to volunteer wearing Be the Flow shirts. Mm-hmm. And, these kids are coming, to my mom's yard, and they're like, why? They asked me, I had several people ask me, why? Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
And I'm like, why not? I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I said, you deserve to have an awesome backpack. You deserve to have school supplies you need. Like, we gave out over 100 scientific calculators along with the backpacks.
Wow.
I mean, high school kids, primary kids, like, junior high, like all different ages, different, ethnicities. We had white families, Hispanic families, black families, all right there on Costner and Monroe, right. Walking in the yard, grabbing a backpack full of supplies, going into the back. We have vendors there. Shout out to Divine Treats, Sammy Salads, Kaylee Sweets. I mean, they back there eating jerk chicken sliders, buffalo chicken sliders, buffalo chicken salad, jerk chicken salad. They got cookies.
I think I'm hungry.
I mean, we had it. DJ Dave Shields, shout out to you, brother. Here, Providence St. Mel alum. Yeah. DJ Dave that was spinning on the ones and twos. We got kids out there dancing, taking pictures. I mean, that energy was just so unreal, man. And again, my cousin, Todd was like, "Cuz, you just may need to find a moment, take a step back, and like kind of just process everything what just happened." He said, "This was a big deal, bro." And I was like, "I'm just going through the motion. Like, I'm going with everything that was going. We go on Facebook Live, and it was just dope. But I really didn't like take it all in until like this morning. After I meditated, I kind of just took a deep breath. I was like, wow.
Yeah, you made an impact.
Yeah, and it felt good. And it felt good.
It feels good.
So now you just want more of like, who can we help next? Like, what can we do? So it's just, the platform that's been given to me, like being asked to come to your show. Yeah. I had the opportunity to do another show a month or so ago. People have been reaching out via email or social media, asking me to come talk at schools, about mental health, man. And, I'm just, I found my purpose.
Right.
I found my work.
And that's
again.
a beautiful thing.
And
man.
it really is,
really
man,
is.
because, I'm getting chill bumps right now talking about it because I didn't want my daughter to know that old Scott.
Right. I was going to.
Excuse me, bro.
No, it's absolutely fine, man. That it's necessary. It's real. It's authentic, right? And it's necessary, man. It's just who we are. There's no reason to hold that in. There's no judgment here.
Yeah. Ooh, felt good.
Yeah.
Had to get it out though, man, because man, this is real.
It is.
This is real. Yeah. I didn't want her to know him, and everything I do moving forward, I know she's she's there. She's gonna be watching. She's gonna see the way I move, and that means everything to me. It does.
Yeah, and it means everything to the world, man, because you're just the product that you're putting out, and with the passion in which you're doing it, man. I mean, I think that not only is it necessary for the rest of the world to see, when your daughter sees it and understands where you come from and the openness that you have about where you come from and and how she was a part of developing you. Like one of my questions was really going to be about what his fatherhood taught you, and I don't even have to ask it. Like I see it, right? And that's really what it's all about, man. That's how we grow from one place to the next, man. And that's real.
Yeah, it really is. But I'm just thinking, man, because it really is. It's powerful, man. Because I say that the movement was established in 2016 because that's the year my daughter was born. Even though the thoughts were there, back in 2013, 2014, hashtagging this and that, but the movement really began through the birth of my daughter, man. And even though I was still struggling with a lot of things mentally and self-medicating, making poor choices, even though she was here, I knew I needed to change. I just didn't know how.
Right.
And that morning, that day when I knew it was time, it was time.
Yeah.
And it happened at the right time, I believe. Because now, like I say, every morning, man, when I'm counting those breaths and, just kind of, centering myself, I still think about the old Scott. I think about some of those choices. Like, dude, you was right. You were reckless, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have some. I don't have. Yeah, I got some Scott stories, but
I mean, we all do. I think we all do. But if you get to that place, man, where you're okay to speak on it, man, that's when the healing begins.
Yeah.
I tell people every day, man, that my wife and I, we go to marriage counseling, and not because someone's forcing us. We do it because we think it's necessary. It really is, because not only do I see a therapist individually to help me, navigate through this moderation, we go as a couple because we enjoy it, because having that space to, have somebody kind of like help you walk through conversations that you may not be comfortable to have. Yeah. Even though that's your wife, your partner, sometimes just having that voice to kind of bounce different ideas off of you is good. And I recommend it to everybody. Go talk to somebody, man, because, it is helpful.
So it's an oil change. Just go.
Yes, there it is.
That's exactly what it is, man. I mean, man, I can keep going. I got a ton of other questions, man, but I'm going to be kind about your time. I know you got some other things going on for sure, man. We might have to do a part 2. I also do some panels and stuff, so I might invite you back for that panel with a couple of guys, and we just kind of chop it up about a number of things about black men in the community and fathers and so forth. So that'll definitely be powerful, I'm sure.
Awesome.
So before I get into my last question, tell the people how we can be involved, how we can support, where to find you.
Wow. Well, the thing that I'm really excited about right now, I made the announcement yesterday at the backpack giveaway. Saturday, September 15th, I am launching the Be the Flow Wellness Program. We are bringing meditation, yoga, and fitness, right here to your neighborhood. A huge shout out to CYO Maryville Academy for giving me the space to make this vision possible. From 9 a.m., we're going to offer meditation. 10 a.m., we're offering yoga. 11 a.m., we're doing fitness.
This is weekends, or
this is every Saturday morning at the Augustin Toten Peace Corner on Lake and Parkside.
Okay,
it's the old Austin Community Bank that gave the building to Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities gave half of the building to Maryville Academy. And Maryville Academy said, Scott, we love what you're doing. I ran some basketball clinics and camps for them this summer. They allowed me to start the Be the Flow Fitness Group over the summer to grab the momentum, get people involved, which now is launching the Be the Flow Wellness Program at the Peace Corner. So I'm excited, man. People certified, people that like in yoga and meditation have reached out like, hey, I want to be involved. I know, I'm not even asking, for you to pay me. I just want to be involved. I can lead your meditation groups. I can lead your yoga groups. I can lead your fitness group. I'm like, this is amazing, man. People just reaching out, And so it's good, man. So in 2 weeks, we rolling. We rolling with that, man. And I encourage people to come out. Bring your yoga mats and your water bottles. We got the space for you. We're gonna have everything in place, and There's a parking lot there. You know, we have security there. I mean, it's just going to be a great thing for the community, you know, and it's free. It's free. So you come on.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Free.
Yes. Free 99.
Free 99.
It's just, and I really, really want to give, you know, different communities the tools that I was given to help me find my place of peace, you know, because we want to be the flow on the west side of Chicago, but then I want to find a location on the south side, the north side. You know, we take it downtown, then next you know, we in Cleveland, we in Detroit, we in L.A., we trying to blow this thing up because it's been such a taboo topic for so long.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk about your mental health. You know, everybody talk, oh, eat right and exercise. Yeah. But yeah, we're supposed to do that, but we also need a place of peace for the mind, man. And that's what Be the Flow is about, and that's what the wellness program is about. And I'm super excited about it.
Oh man, that's absolutely what's up. So how can we follow you? What's your tags, your pages?
On Facebook, you can find us at Be the Flow. Instagram, we're at Be the Flow 2016. And Twitter, we are Be the Flow _2016. Cool. Every day, I'm posting positive affirmations, you know, whether it's just connected to, you know, something personally, something connected with mental health, or just, you know, trying to uplift somebody through a rough day. I usually try and post, you know, a different face every day wearing their apparel. I just posted the wellness program on the social media sites. So, yeah, man, we moving. We just kind of keep moving in this positive direction and just see, you know, a year from now where we can take this thing.
No, I can see it going real far, man, and I'm definitely going to do my part as well. So my last question before you get out of here, give me 3 things you're currently doing to become a better version of yourself.
Well, one, I know it's just being self-aware, you know, just look at myself in the mirror and just knowing that what I'm doing is right, you know, and what's right, right? You know, like, but you know, like we all have that gut feeling if something's off, if you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing to be the best version of yourself. I think also it's just challenging myself, you know, daily, you know, like what can I do different today than I did yesterday to be a better me? You know, like, did I read to my daughter last night? How long did I read to her? Maybe I should read to her, you know, 2 books tonight instead of 1. Like, just stuff like that I challenge myself with to stay connected, to make sure that I'm pushing myself, you know, in so many different ways. And I think just making sure, like, you know, like that last principle, man, just following through, you know, like, you know, the human mind is amazing, man. But you know, you got so many things that's moving up there, like you're thinking about. Yeah. But you know, just set daily reminders in your phone. Like I do that. That's something I do. That's another exercise that I do. Like every 3 hours, my alarm goes off on my phone, and at that time, I ask myself, "What did you do today? What should you be doing? What can you do next?" And man, as now that the light switch goes on, I'm like, man, I've been chilling. I need to, let's get some stuff done. And then 3 hours later, that alarm goes off again, and I'm like, you know, asking myself those same questions. So those are things, man, that I do daily. I'm gonna continue to do. You know, I want to share those tools with other people. You know, like, you know, this wellness program is everything to me because it started off as a vision that's now, you know, it's actually happening. Like this thing is going to happen in 2 weeks, and I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you. Scott, thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us, and man, and opening up, man. And I can see those doors opening up for you, man. So I appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your purpose and your passion with us today, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me. I brought you some Be the Flow swag.
Wow.
So, you know, make sure you wear the T-shirt, send me a picture so I can post you on the website, all social media sites, man. But this is an honor. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Man, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. As always, we appreciate you joining us on this journey to become a better version of ourselves. These candid conversations are meant to inspire, encourage, and empower you with something that you can apply to your own life or share with someone that you know needs to hear it. We would love to hear how these conversations are impacting you or the people around you. So do us a solid and head on over to the review section on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, I'm proud to announce that we recently released our very first high-quality coffee table photo book, Fatherhood Through the Eyes of Black Dads. This book tells a story of 8 dads and their experience with fatherhood using powerful images. Head on over to our website awesomeblackdads.com, and click on the Projects tab for more information. You can follow us on all social media at Awesome Black Dads, and we'll see you next episode. Peace.